If one of your creditors sends you a county court judgment letter, we can help. In this video, we'll explain how to complete the form step by step. You'll get a few different sheets in your claim pack, but the only one you need to complete is the N9A admission form. You don't need to complete any other forms unless you're disputing that you owe the money. You can also complete the form online if you've received login details on the N1 claim form. The first section to complete is how much of the claim do you admit? If you agree with the amount that the creditor is claiming that you owe, you should tick I admit the full amount. If you don't agree with the amount being claimed, or you're looking to dispute the CCJ, then we'd recommend visiting our website for information on this and in what circumstances you can do this. The next section to complete is personal details and dependents. You need to fill in all your details in the personal details box, making sure you include a telephone number in case the court needs to contact you. In the dependents box, include information about anyone else that lives in your house that you're financially responsible for. This could be your partner, children, or any other adults that live with you. After you've filled these boxes in, move on to the employment box. In this section, you need to tick all the boxes that apply to you. For example, if you're age 65 and still working, then you're a pensioner, so you should tick this box. Because you're still working, you should tick I am employed too. Next, move on to the bank accounts and savings boxes. You need to write down how much money is in your bank account at its lowest point each month. So if you spend all the money you're paid each month, you should put 0. Next, you'll need to give some details about the property you live in the residence section. Just like the employment section, you can tick more than one box if you need to. One example of when you need to do this is if you live in a shared ownership property. If you do, you'd tick rented accommodation and my own house. After you've filled this in, move on to the income section. If you live alone, this section is straightforward. You just need to fill in the amount of income you receive each month, whether it's from wages, benefits, pensions, or a combination of these. Make sure you include all your income. If you live with a partner and you have a joint budget, it's a bit more complicated. Firstly, you need to work out how much your partner is paid each month. From this amount, you need to take off any regular expenses, priority arrears, court orders, or payments to debts that are in their name only. For example, if their income is £600 and they pay £100 towards their own outgoings each month, you would need to put £500 in the Others Living in My Home Give Me box. Once you've filled this section in, move on to expenses. It's important to complete this section in full. If you've fallen behind with any of your household bills, don't include any payments towards the arrears in this box. There's a separate box to include this later. It's likely that the space allowed in this section isn't big enough, and it won't cover all the areas you spend money on. You'll need to combine some of your costs to fit them into the categories. You could combine pet costs, medicines and hairdressing and include them in housekeeping along with your food shopping. If you've fallen behind with your household bills, put the details in the next section, Priority Debts. This needs to include any extra amounts you're paying to get your household bills back up to date. You don't need to include the full amount you owe, just the payment you're making. If you don't have any arrears on your household bills, then just leave this box blank. The next box to complete is Court Orders. If you have any existing court orders, you need to put details of them here. These could be other CCJs, speeding tickets, or any other fines or payments you need to make to the court. If you've got more than 3, you should list the others on a separate sheet of paper. If you don't have any, leave this section blank. In the credit debt section, you need to list all the other debts you have. Put down the amount you're currently paying to each company and the total amount you owe in brackets. If you have more than 3 debts, you can list these on a separate sheet of paper. Next is the offer of payment section. You need to put a figure in here. If you don't, you may find that your creditor writes one in for you. If you don't have any money left over once you've paid all of your household bills, you should put in £1. If you can afford to pay something, you need to work out a fair amount based on how much you owe the creditor. If you need help working this out, contact us and we'll help you with it. You'll also need to write a short sentence about why you've fallen behind with your payments. This can be anything from unemployment to illness. And finally, you need to complete the declaration. Always sign your form. If you don't, the court can't take into account what you've written, and the payment will be set at an amount that you might not be able to afford. Once you've done that, make a copy of your form, send the original back to the creditor, and keep the copy for yourself.